in-person event since the pandemic. So congratulations to YQNA. We're all back here in person at the beautiful Harborfront Center. Yeah, you can clap for that. So my name's Ryan Singh. I am the current interim chair at the YQNA. I will be the MC for this portion of the community meeting, and then I will hand it over to a gentleman by the name of Ed Hoare, and he will be chairing the AGM portion. So this doesn't work. Is there an on button? Oh, okay, there we go. So as we begin the evening, just a quick overview of our agenda. I will read a land acknowledgement, of course. I'll do a brief update in my capacity as chair. And we have a few guest speakers. 52 Division is going to come here for a brief presentation. You'll all have an opportunity to ask questions. We'll have a motivational speaker, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get to that point. Waterfront BIA will be here. They'll do a presentation as well and give you some updates on their work. The Harborfront Center has a new CEO. She's going to be joining us tonight to share her vision, and I can attest to all the hard work she's done in a very, very short period of time. Our member of provincial parliament, he's actually in the room already, but he has to wait until that part of the agenda. But Chris Glover, if you could put your hand up at the back there. Nice and clap, he's in the room. Thank you, Chris. Asma Malik, the Deputy Mayor and City Council will join us, and then we'll move into the annual general meeting. Okay, this is not working, so you're gonna have to click for me, please. Alrighty, land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Wendat, Anishinaabe, Hanadose, Chippewa, and Mississaugas of the Credit. We pay tribute to their legacy and the legacy of all First Peoples of Canada. Today, the traditional meeting place of Toronto is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in these communities that have grown in the treaty lands. Next slide. So just a brief update for myself. I became chair in spring. This is actually my last meeting as chair. I'm not staying on. So it's a very brief summary, but I feel like we've done a lot of good things here at the YQNA. It's a very dynamic organization that advocates for all of us, the residents right here in the Central Waterfront. I'm hoping that some of my work has laid a path for a more inclusion, more engagement, and better decision-making and advocacy by the YQNA, building on a strong foundation from previous chairs and previous work that's been done before me. Just a synopsis of things that we've accomplished. On the organizational and infrastructure front, we actually have a database now that exists that has all our buildings in this area. We also have lead contacts that we're building up. So we have a building rep. So if you live in YQNA and you want to volunteer with us, please let us know. We need representation in all these buildings to bring concerns to YQNA and then also take all that good news back to residents and your neighbors in the building. Community engagement. We recently launched a bi-weekly newsletter. So as an organization, we know it's important that you know what we do as a residents association. So we started this new process of getting more information out to you through that process. We also started uploading more of our meetings. Now, they were virtual, but on YouTube. And Neil back there is recording this. So all of our neighbors who aren't here tonight will get to watch this presentation and the rest of the meeting online at their convenience at home. You guys are the brave ones that came out on a chilly evening to join us here. In terms of the stakeholder relations front, we've done many things. We have a renewed relationship with the Harborfront Center, and we'll speak about that a bit later, and you'll meet Kathy and understand why it was so easy for us to rebuild that relationship. They were generous enough to have us and host us here this evening, and we've been doing some of our YQNA meetings here as well. They truly see the YQNA as a key partner, and the voices of all of us, residents of this neighborhood, is really important. And for me, as a resident here, I don't have a balcony, nor do I have a front lawn. This is my front yard, the Harborfront Center. So they've been really, really impactful and engaging when we're working with us and hearing all of your concerns. We've held meetings with the buskers and their organization as they're trying to revive their program. We've engaged with the Friends of Highlands as well, and they've been dealing with a number of issues on in their jurisdiction. We've also re-engaged with the federal member of provincial Parliament office, the federal member, and the city council, and we keep on having strong relations and strong ties with all of our elected officials. Upcoming events. So in the future, you can expect some work with the member of provincial parliament's office. Will be, I don't want to spoil the surprise on the details, but early in the new year, you'll see an announcement on a very special event to be hosted here on the waterfront that should be exciting for all of us. And maybe MPP Glover might speak to it in a bit. I want to encourage everybody to engage, donate, and volunteer. It is so important that we continue to voice our concerns and voice our interests here in this community. I wrote a little quote: don't let the voice of few be the voice of many. Make your voices heard and make a difference. You all being here tonight is a start, but please consider volunteering for YQNA. These wonderful women at the back here, Liz and Carolyn, if you could put your hands up, they're taking donations. We're a very small budget. Yeah, you can give them a round of applause, please. Please consider making a donation to the organization. We don't have a massive fundraising arm. Your generosity does go a long way in maintaining Zoom, our website, and other entities like that. And just engage. If you see an issue, if you see a concern, let the YQNA know. If we can't solve it, we can at least flag this for our elected officials or other governmental bodies or agencies to deal with. So with that is, told you, I promised you it was going to be brief, a very brief chair's report. And now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing some of Toronto's finest, if I can get the next slide. YQNA served by 52 division, and I would say we're well served by the officers there. So I will let them come up and introduce themselves. They're going to give us a little bit of an update on public safety, all the traffic jams that Taylor Swift's going to cause in the next couple of weeks, and then they'll take a couple of questions from you in the audience here. Gentlemen.
Oh, that's a bright place. Good evening, everybody. I'm Councilman Barry Bates. Thank you for having us here tonight. My partner is PC Katsuri, Kank Katsuri. I'll just give you a little bit of a background about myself and the program we work in. I've been on the police service for 36 exciting years. I'm still having fun, so I'm still here. 2 years ago, the 52 Division authorized or had approved a neighborhood community program for the waterfront. Previously, Chinatown had one, Yonge Street has one. Once this was approved, they selected 4 officers, myself being one of them, to start the program here in the waterfront. Previously to that, I'd spent 20 years still at 52 Division as strictly a traffic officer. So I handled, back in the day, all the traffic accidents. I actually designed the safety plan that goes on every time there's a game, and had a hand in the waterfront Queens Quay development. But for the past 2 years, we've been in the neighborhood program. Hank just joined me in the waterfront. He'd been previously, as of last week, on the Yonge Street neighborhood program. There was a little bit of a switch. My partner went to Yonge Street, and Hank is now. So he's not going to answer many questions about the waterfront. In his defense, he's been here a week. So May of 2022, the program was started at 52 Division. Myself and 3 other officers, we work 1 week on, 2 of us, and then the next week the other 2 guys work. We basically have started to come down. We've been engaging. The idea is to engage as many stakeholders, the BIA, community members, and find out what the issues are in the neighborhood. And we don't want to tell you what we like feedback from the neighborhood. If you're having problems with traffic, underhoused people, thefts, whatever it may be, we've always been contacted and worked with the community in the last 2 years. And even if we can't help you with your problem, we will find out who can in the city and send you that way. Taylor Swift. So, as you know, this weekend and the next weekend after, Taylor Swift is coming to town. It's not the same Santa Claus. He does it one night. So there's a massive plan, without getting into details, because it's like a 20-page operational plan we've been given. Unfortunately, and I'll be honest with you guys down here, it's going to be traffic chaos. So for driving, it's going to be terrible. They are going to be closing some of the roads at like 1 p.m. To 1 a.m. and then other roads at 10 p.m. for the end of the concert for a couple of hours. There is a plan from the city. You can go on the City of Toronto website. I can't present ours because it has some police stuff involved in it that's not releasable. But the city has a plan of when things are going to be closed. But certainly you can ask me tonight if you'd like. I say they're going to be closing the day of the concerts, all 6 concerts. I think starting at Lakeshore and Reese and Bremner, Navy Wharf, Blue Jays Way, Lower Simcoe, I think are at the 1 p.m. closures. So traffic's just going to be closed for that. At the end of the concert, I believe Front Street, York, and a few others are going to be shut down. Now, that being said, please, if you live here or work here, you will be given access. Obviously, you can't keep people from coming home or going to work. But it's just nice if you are driving, have your driver's license handy. If you're approaching the road, just saves time. Say, also, I live, Queens Quay, whatever, and they'll let you through. Same if you work down there, just try and say, look, I work in this, and they'll let you through. It's going to be a slow process to get through, so just keep that in mind. If you're coming to work for 2 p.m., you might want to leave like an hour before you normally would, depending where you're coming from, because it is going to be, despite all the planning and a number of police put in and plans in place, it's just going to be a slow process for that. All the hotels, obviously, are booked solid. People are coming in from all over the world for this, and many of them are staying the whole week. They have tickets to multiple shows, and they're making this a major trip from wherever they've come from. So it's good for the economy. They're going to be around for a week, spending their money, hopefully enjoying things like this, the beauty of Toronto. So, actually, before I answer the question, Hank here's going to let you know, we brought some pamphlets with some stuff in it that may interest some of you, so he's going to go over that. And then we'll take any questions and answers, mainly me, because Payne's been in a week, about your concerns about the waterfront. I'd be happy to address them and hopefully there'll be some help to you. Okay.
I thank all of you to invite us here, especially Ryan Singh. He gave us the opportunity to come here, present what we do, because mostly in day-to-day police operation is always like going to calls, going to where the problem is, like criminal, right? So this neighborhood community program is a proactive policing to understand what our neighborhood need. So if we don't go to these meetings, we sometimes don't know, because many people don't call police because thinking that is it a police call or not a police call. So neighborhood community is proactive arm of policing, where we want to go to different businesses, different stakeholders, and know what are the problems so that we can eliminate the issue before it becomes a bigger issue. So thank you very much for inviting us, and thank you very much for all of you coming. I would like to give yourself a big round of applause for coming here. So thank you very much. So as a department, we have prepared already something called a toolkit. Basically, it is this bunch of flyers in there which has very important information to know what should we do when this thing happens. So I'll just give you the summary of what is in there. It's a pamphlet about auto crimes, frauds and scam against seniors, bicycle safety and theft prevention, business security and robbery prevention, crime prevention through environmental design, senior safety, distraction theft, social networking safety, identity theft, babysitting safety, cyclist safety guide, break and enter prevention, personal safety, apartment security, home security, transit safety, and bullying. There's a lot of information. Not everything is related to everybody, but whatever it is a basic information. If we need to provide more detail, we are more than happy to go and provide some more details in it. So I'm going to leave some of them with Ryan, and if we need more, I'll come back and give you more. Thank you very much again. If you have any questions, please.
Thank you, gentlemen. So Neil has a microphone. If you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand. This woman here in the black and white.
Hi, hello, my name is Margaret. I have a question. Now that the alcohol comes into some convenience store, do you see a difference in mini theft crime or people hanging around in the neighborhood or things like that?
Sorry, excuse me. It's obviously a fairly recent development, having the alcohol, et cetera, in the convenience store. So we're still finding out the answer to that question. In my own previous experience as a police officer, I had great concerns about the when you're downtown, and it's a common occurrence for the liquor store. Obviously, you probably all heard them. They get stuff stolen all the time. People bring hockey bags and load up the stuff because they know the LCBO doesn't really arrest and prosecute. That's because they're a big government and they can afford the loss. Going to a convenience store, someone walks in, hopefully without even hurting the staff, of one thing, takes some alcohol. Well, the company that, the franchise company isn't covering that loss. It's the family who owns the convenience store. That's the basic concern we have there, let alone any violence that's going to come with that. A lot of the people that are in the mind to steal that kind of alcohol may have some other issues, excuse me, or the alcohol dependency issues. And there's great concern about how they're going to react should that store owner do the right thing, stop it, that's fine, get out. We're very concerned, especially in the waterfront. That's all I can speak to. We've been to a number of the owners of certain convenience stores. One, I know on Bremner Boulevard, the Hasty Market there, that they've locked the alcohol in a display case. They're fortunate. Some franchise companies are directing the store owners to store it right at the front door. They want to sell it without giving any real consideration to the theft that's going to happen to the individually owned stores. So some of them are lucky. They get to choose where it is. They put it in the back. They lock it up so they can usually eyeball the person coming in, who obviously is not going to seem like a regular customer because he's heading right back to the alcohol, and he's probably hanging around at the alcohol place waiting for the right time. So at least there they have it locked up. But it is a great concern. We don't have many stats yet. It's only been a few weeks. But I certainly see, just my own experience, there's going to be some issues. It's going to be.
We heard from other funds that they have had vandalism much more than they used to. And I wonder if you're involved in that, solving that. And is that a common problem on the waterfront?
We get involved in most things, but we're not always, say there's only two of us working certain times of the day. When something does happen and a report is generated to 52 Division for vandalism, whatever it may be, we get given that information, even though our detective office may be investigating it and someone's assigned to it. We're still made aware that it happened, and then we usually will come down and try and see is there a suspect, is there video of the suspect, and then we can actively try and perhaps find a great deal of the vandalism or mischief down here. I'm not trying to peg a group, but a lot of it ends up being involving underhouse people, and it's just what has been happening. And the thing about them, when they show us a video, the odds are that person is just wandering around the street. He's not going too far. He's going to be somewhere in the area. So once we get a video or description, we have, while we're riding around on our bikes, we have a good opportunity to run across that person, hopefully. We do get calls and the reports given to us about vandalism or damage, and we go see the store owners usually and see what they can tell us, see what video they have. We've been very successful in a number of cases. We've actually managed to locate and arrest a person, sometimes unfortunately not. For that reason, that if they're a transient person, sometimes as much as they're local, they're hard to find at times when they don't want to be found. But we do work with that. We work with we work with DIA for whatever issues they think they've got, and say a lot of the major stakeholders. For the record, I mentioned our waterfront technically for us is Wellington Street to the lake, including the island. Obviously, Yonge over to Spadina, and that's our area, including the convention center, everything. The Union Station is very busy for us in the winter with issues. But just keep in mind, and there's only 2 guys a shift, like a week. So, and that's why I'm saying, so we do the best we can, and when we get something, we'll follow up. But it's a big area, a lot of businesses, a lot of people. I'm not trying to. It's a big place, so we do our best as we get the information.
Right, I use the bike trail quite a lot, the waterfront trail, and as you know, the bylaw is no e-bikes. I kind of don't mind the smaller ones, but those big ones that are the size of a Vespa, they're just electric. Do you give them tickets sometimes?
Yes. I say, as I mentioned, I used to be in traffic, write like 4,000 tickets a year down here, all over the place. And now my job is not specifically, which we're supposed to be the community engagers. I don't do as much by the nature of this job assignment. But I do have a pet peeve, if I could put it that way. But it's just overwhelming, not just the e-bike. You have these little devices where they lean forward with the unit. Well, there's so many devices that are now on the roadway and on places like trails that have not yet been designated anywhere in the Highway Traffic Act or bylaws. The only charge I can lay on some of the funky little devices that they're using is, believe it or not, engage in sport. They're considered toys. So all I can do, there's a charge called engaging in a sport or game road. That's it. They're not a vehicle in many parts of the Highway Traffic Act for offense, red light, stop sign, whatever it says, it has to be a vehicle or motor vehicle. They're neither. E-bike is, so e-bikes are fine because they're a motorized bicycle. I can deal with them under the HTA, but the other stuff, it's a very murky area, and it bothers me that they let, and there's tens of thousands of these things going around. Scooters, electric scooters, they're a toy. Once they find a place to find them and put them into the HTA, then I know where I stand to charge them. But e-bikes definitely, yes, they're running red lights. They, the Uber Eats guys are the worst. They're trying to get their food to their client, and make their money. But they're like Blue Jays, Wayne Navy Wharf. They're blowing the stop sign all the time. They're riding on because this trail, other bike trails, our bike paths and stuff on the sidewalk. We do our best, but they're literally, as you know, every night, thousands of them. But whenever I see them, yes, absolutely, we give them a ticket because I've had questions before. Casey was going to ask us about speeding on the trail, and I know technically it says 25 kilometers an hour on trails and parks, etc. However, the difficulty for me enforcing that under strictly a speeding issue is the fact that on anyone I charge from speeding, whether they're in a motor vehicle, whatever. One of the few defenses to that is that my speedometer wasn't working. If you're not able to prove the defendant knew or was able to know the speed he was going, unfortunately, it's one of those loopholes they put in as an exemption. So that's a problem with bicycles. They say e-bikes, funny enough, I have an e-bike, do have a speedometer on it. So those I can do. You're resourceful when we need to do. But the regular bikes, what we can do, though, there are charges under the bylaw for careless driving carelessly, etc. like that. So that still applies to them for bicycles on the bike trail or wherever they are. But e-bikes, they're not supposed. We do the best we can. There are thousands, as you can. They've just come out of the market.
So we'll take one last question. I see your hand up, but is there anybody else new who wants to ask a question? So we'll give this one to you so you can have an opportunity.
Good evening, officer.
Good evening.
I do a lot of walking on Queens Quay, and I've seen it on the news that the fines are $300 now. They're going to be $400 or something for the cars to block the intersection.
Yes.
Well, along York Street, believe me, I almost got run over a few times, and I don't see any officer, not even at rush hour.
So, again, 2 years ago when I was doing traffic, every day at rush, I'd be sitting at Bay Lakeshore waiting for exactly that, or York and Bremner. And as much as I appreciate the driver's frustration of trying to get home, and I appreciate it's not a fun deal getting home. It's the same that people come down York to make that double right turn at York for the Gardner. If the person next to them doesn't have to make a right, if they decide to go straight, they get a car coming, or they can't see the pedestrians in the crosswalk when they're making that blind right turn. So I've been enforcing that for a long time. There are just so many intersections. And then you go to Young and Lakeshore. Every night you can pick. It's sad that people don't have that through their heads yet, that you can't. It's common sense. Why would I block it when that light's going to change? But they do. I'm glad they put the fine up because before it used to be like $45, 25 to 40 bucks. It's not much. Most people just paid it. You know, there's no deterrent in the enforcement. Now it recently went up to $115. It's a little more. You know, people took a little more notice. I'm happy it's now the higher fee. There's still no points attached to it because it's a bylaw. Generally, points are what change people's attitude towards things, sadly, but that's the truth, is once they see possible demerit points, now they get concerned, because that then rolls into their insurance and everything else. Yeah, we are out here now. In case you haven't known, we do have a lot of the city has hired traffic wardens, and there's some new, and I'll be honest, there's some new guys out there now with the flag signs. And I'm not sure what their designation is under the city. I don't think they're traffic wardens, but they're obviously there to help control the flow at the intersection. Unfortunately, for both the traffic wardens and whoever these guys are, there's no real recourse if someone disobeys them. They don't have the authority to stop them or give them a ticket or arrest him if he doesn't identify, which we do. So they're doing their best, but they don't have full authority, but at least they are helping. I've watched them down at the York and Gardner ramp. I've watched them at York and Bremner. Those ones in particular, though, will have a police officer and a court officer at some of the main ones. So there is some clout to what they're doing. The other ones, which have strictly the traffic wardens and these new guys, wherever they are, it's not as much clout to it, but they're trying. But you're right, no, it's a mess. I'm not arguing with you. And I've been down here for 20 years. You know, every rush hour, University in, Wellington, University in front. You can pick any street you want, a different street every day at rush hour. And that was one of the few good things about COVID last year. That's one of the few good things. Traffic moved really well for a while. And filled up. I was quite pleased. But sadly, it took that to do it. But no, we are aware of that. I thank you for the question. And I'm very glad the fines went up, and we'll be doing our best. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, when we say it's just 4 of us down here, we work in the 52 Division Crew Office, community response to bicycle cops. And even though this is our area, they come down here too. And I know the 2 teams we work with that coincide with our days will actually come down here, and they're very good at writing tickets. And they'll come down to Blue Jays Way in front. They'll come down to the other intersections, be doing cell phones. They'll be doing the gridlock, blocking the intersection. So it's not just us, fortunately. We have a good relationship with the other bike officers that are in the crew, and most of them will come down here and also rush out and help out to do some enforcement. And the regular cars also come down here when they're not busy with regular cars. Well, one quick thing, if you want to get a hold of us, I brought some business cards, but not this many. The easiest way, if you all can get on the Toronto Police website, just torontopolice.ca, there is a drop down for Find Your Neighborhood Officer. You drop that down, so easy. Drop it down, 52 Division, Waterfront. I don't think Tank's on it yet. Well, you'd be on the Yonge Street, so he's on it, but just still assigned to Yonge Street because it takes him a while to update it. But myself, John Wood, Paul Van Cedars, we're on there with our email and our connected phone number. If you want to get a hold of us, I'll suggest not the connected phone. They gave us these iPhones a couple of years ago, so we could do a lot of things on them. It's great. Except every phone call I've gotten is from India, someone telling me the CRA is coming to arrest me. So I stopped answering unless I programmed your name and I know it's you. But email me on my work phone, day off or day on, I'll get it in 30 seconds. And if I'm not in, I will send it to John Wood or Paul, who's on the opposite half, knowing who's working. Or you phone 52 Division, we have a Sergeant Romy Minota, who is the NCO sergeant of all the NCOs. You can put something towards him, give him a call. He works Monday to Friday during the day, and he'll get in touch with us or respond to you directly. But the website is the easiest way to get our information. So I'll send the cards out, if that's it. Yeah.
Can we get a round of applause for these wonderful men who keep us safe? And Constable Bates and Constable Katsuri, Stan, you've been on the job in this area for 1 week, so you're going to keep us safe from all the Swifties. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to try this clicker again. Yeah, give him another round of applause. Okay, All I'm allowed to say about this next presentation is that everybody knows Second City is in our community as well. So I am going to hand the floor over to Randall Walsh.
How are you? How you doing? Nice to meet you. How are you? How you doing? Nice to meet you. How's everybody doing? We feeling good? Oh, come on, we feeling good? Give me one of those. Okay, good to see you. All right, fantastic. Can everybody hear me without the mic? Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me without the mic? All right, I'm going to try without the mic. If you can't hear me, let me know. All right. YQNA, what does that stand for, sir? Your Key Neighborhood Association. You know what it stands for me? Your questions need answers. Huh? How about that? You quitting? Not allowed. Two of them that I just thought back there. Folks, I'm going to do a little bit of a bit for you. What do you want? Good, you're going to get it. What do you want? Nothing material, right? Not what do you want right now. What do you want? Now let me ask you another question. Why don't you have it? A want, by definition, is only want until it's achieved. Which means whatever you were thinking of when I ask what do you want, you don't have. So I'll ask again. Why are your wants still wants? This is you. And this, that's what you want. And that big space in between is pretty scary, isn't it? But don't worry, that's where I come in. My name is Randall Walsh. I'm a real estate expert, wealth specialist, and local entrepreneur. And I'm here to give you what you want. And if that sounds good, put your hand straight up in the air, say yeah. Okay, so a little bit. Great. Now all I'm going to ask of you tonight, thank you so much, let's give it up for him. All I'm going to ask of you tonight is that you're honest. Okay, with me, but more importantly with yourselves. We live in a world right now that is so hypersensitive, it feels like you can't say what you really feel. But just us, tonight, in this room, closed door, locked door, I want everyone to say what they feel. All right, let's give it a try. I want you to put your hand straight up in the air and say, yeah, if you can be honest enough with yourself to say that you wish you had a little more money. Yeah. I want you to put your hand straight up in the air and say, yeah, if you can be honest enough with yourself to say that you wish you had a little more stability in your life. Yeah. I want you to put your hand straight up in the air and say, yeah, if you can be honest enough with yourself to say that you know some of us are inherently worse than the rest of us. Yeah. All right, great. That went well. Now it's my turn to be honest. What I say tonight will not get through to 90% of you. I mean it. 90%. Right over your head. But that's not why I do this. Huh? That's not why I come to the YQNA at the motivational speakers time. All right? That's not why I come. I do it for the 10%. The 10% that are listening right now. The 10% that have passion, that have drive. All right? That have initiative. The 10% that come to me 4, 5, 6 years down the line. After a conference like this, they come to me 5 years down the line and say, Randall, before your conference, I was dead broke and my girlfriend had just left me because I had too many diseases. All right? But your passion, your drive, your absolute articulation of your thoughts, it gave me inspiration to go out and achieve. So much so that not 5 days after your conference, I started my own business. This is what he's telling me. Right? And then he says, cut to now. He says, I have more money than I know what to do with. I have more women than I know what to do with. And all those diseases, every single one is in remission. He says, thank you, Randall. You saved my life. Oh, and by the way, that little business, that little company he started 5 days after attending my conference, yeah. Little company called Moxie's Classic Grill. Uh-huh. So some of you have already beaten me there. Yes, the man I'm talking of is none other than our Thomas Gagliardi, real-life founder and CEO of Moxie's Classic Grill. So if you leave here tonight, if you walk out that door and you say to yourself, that was good, but that one guy didn't care what he was talking about. Hey, no skin off my hide. See you never 90%. For the rest of us, listen up. It only gets better from here. All right? What is success? It's an interesting word to try to define, isn't it? If you looked up success in the dictionary right now, if any of you whipped up your phones and went into dictionary.com and wrote success, you know what you'd find? Nothing. Because we as a people have not been able to define success yet. All right? But I'll tell you what success is not. That's not success either. That's snapping. Those are two different things, right? You're gonna have to learn to distinguish between them in this industry. What I'm trying to say is success does not happen overnight, does it? Does it? That's right. Success doesn't happen overnight. Success takes 2-3 nights minimum, right? Sometimes even up to a month to achieve success. All right? It's tough. But success comes to those who eat, sleep, breathe, bleed, and cry their industry. To those who put in the hours. To those who want to do the work. What's your name, my friend? Mike. Let me ask you something, Mike. Do you think Shaquille O'Neal woke up one morning and was just one of the best actors of all time? No! He probably put 10,000 hours into it. Exactly, Mike, right? But he went into the NBA, and he paid his dues working in the NBA, right? And now, yes, Mike, you and I know him from all of his hits. Kazam! Grown Ups 2. That's all. You think Michael Phelps woke up one morning and was just one of the best swimmers in the world? No! That man has drowned more time than you and I have even tried to swim, Mike. He gets up, goes, drowns. Next day, drowns. Next day, drowns. Next day, doesn't drown. Huh. The next day, he's good. The next day, he's proficient. The next day, he's intermediate. The next day, he's advanced. The next day, he's professional. It takes time. It takes drowning. All right? Now, I don't have much time with you, but I do have one more thing to say. There are two kinds of things in this world. All right? Two kinds of things. Desirable things and undesirable things. Now, desirable things, those are things that you want. And undesirable things, well, those are things you don't want. All right, now here's the key. There will always be undesirable things in your life. Always. Okay? You will fail. That deal will fall through. You will get shingles. All right? These are just facts of life. Science will always win. Now, the key is how you absorb it. You can internalize those negative things. You can internalize those undesirable things. You can let them be a part of you until you yourself are an undesirable thing, or you can fight back, right? Fight back against those undesirable things. Stand up tall like a bear and point at these undesirable things and say, hey, I'm sick of dealing with your SHIT and I'm not going to take it anymore. You know? How many of us feel like doing that right now? Cool. Great. Now, the more you approach your undesirable things like this, with this strategy, the less undesirable things, they seem to be happening. Now, of course, they're still happening, but it's the way that you absorb it, so it doesn't feel so undesirable, doesn't feel so negative. Mike, you're nodding, I appreciate it. Right? So these things happening, you start building a little cocoon for yourself. So the undesirable things can't get to you. They're still happening, but they're not getting to you because you created this imperviousness, right? You're a smart audience. You ever hear of a suit of armor? Yeah? All right, great. It's almost like you built a suit of armor for the undesirable things. So again, they're still happening externally, but they're not getting to you. I want to demonstrate something for you folks, okay? I'm running toward my goal right now, right? Look at me running toward my goal. Does this look good? Does this look good? Yeah. Great. Okay, I'm running toward my goal. That's great. Now what I want you to do, just like you did with our fine boys in blue, I want you to shout out some of your problems. Maybe your York region-specific problems. What are they? What problems we got? Shout it out.
No skating rink.
What's that? No skating rink. Ping! Doesn't even bother me. See how that happened? Right off my suit of armor. Keep going. What else? I'll do this for 20 minutes. What? Too much traffic. Ping! Doesn't even bother me. See that? Wow. How's he doing it? One more. Donald Trump? Dodge. Dodge. Some of them you can just straight up dodge if you don't want to deal with them, and that's what I decided to do. The point is, folks, that nothing is going to happen for you unless you go out and make it happen yourself. Right? Your questions need answers. So I guess I've got to rephrase my question from the beginning, don't I? Because the question is not, what do you want? The question is, how bad do you want it? Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, my name is Isabel and I'm actually from the Second City. Can we give it up for Randall Walsh one more time? A little bit of surprise, his real name is not Randall Walsh, his name is Gavin Pounds, and he's actually one of our current Second City alum on our stages right now, which, has anybody been to our new Second City home? We are right down the street. Raise your hand if we've seen it. We've got some folks, especially in the front row. I know the front row folks. You're real eager, and I know we're going to see you again in our front row. We're just here to say hi. How you doing? I was just saying we're part of your neighborhood. We've only been part of the neighborhood for 2 years. We're very new. We're very, very new, but we are here. And thank you so much for bringing us in. We're really excited. We just wanted to say hi, how you doing? Letting you know that we've got lots of different shows to offer. We've got holiday shows coming. Anybody excited for the holidays? Yes, we've got 2 holiday shows. Thank you for the claps. I appreciate it. We've got 2 really amazing holiday shows coming up, and we do have family matinees, so a lot of fun for the whole family. We've also got an incredible restaurant, the Bentwood, so come for, you're not going to the Taylor Swift concert? Forget them. Come to Second City. We will have you for a dinner and a show, and no traffic. Car traffic. Walking, we'll see. There's going to be a lot of glittery boots. Be careful for those. But we are so excited. We also come with bearing a gift. We come offering you a little bit of a discount code. So if you use the discount code YQNA15, you get 15% off tickets between Tuesday and Thursdays, and that code is good up until December 31st. So anybody in the audience, we're going to see you at a Second City show in the near future? Yes! Yes, we're giving the code one more time. It's we'll see you there. But YQNA15, 15. And if you go on our website to get some tickets, you can just pop that in there. 15% off, good until December 31st. Thank you so much for having us, everybody. Yeah, we're gonna try to get it to you. Yeah, in the email. Yeah, we're gonna put it in the email. Yeah, I got you. We got you.
As long as the folks at Second City are okay with us emailing it to our distribution list, yes, we will do that, Neil. Thank you. How was that for an AGM community meeting? Fun? Should we nominate Randall Walsh to be the next chair of YQNA? Yeah? He seems to know how to deal with problems really well. We're a residents association and we don't typically promote business, but there are many young, wonderful people starting their careers, so we thought it was really important for you to meet them. And if you haven't been to Second City, I've been there and I saw many hands of you, but if you haven't, please take advantage of the discount code and visit them. On the note of businesses, we have our friends at the Waterfront BIA. Again, we are the Residents Association, but we work hand in hand with these wonderful people who represent the many businesses who do operate in the region. I'm gonna invite Dorsa up to the stage. She's the manager of operations. Dorsa.
Thank you for having me. I'm just here today with some updates and good news. Just gonna start off with what's going on around the neighborhood and what to expect to come up. We have the immersive Van Gogh exhibit now on at the Lighthouse Immersive at One Young. It's a great experience to just go and look at Van Gogh's paintings in a new experience. So if you do have the time, I do recommend you checking it out. We have, with the seasons getting cold, we have skating rinks opening up around the neighborhood. I'm sure Harborfront Center will talk about their plans with their rinks, but we have the Bentway rink to our north of it, and also the Sherbourne Common South rink will be open around end of November, hopefully, depending on when the city will open up their rinks. Bentway will open up later around December 21st, and yeah, all 3 locations will have free skate rentals available at some point throughout the winter. So if you follow us on socials or subscribe to our newsletters, we will point those out to you and you can come and enjoy. Second City kind of stole one of my updates. So their holiday shows will kick off in 2 days. The first one will start on November 14th, and there's another one starting later on the 19th. So make sure to go check those out with your discount codes. I just wanted to also say that we have recently put up a lighting installation at the Music Gardens in the gazebo. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to check them out, but we've had live performances there on Saturday in October twice, and we had great attendance, so thanks to all of you who came out. And we're planning to do this yearly. This was the first year this has happened, and the lights are still at the location until early 2025, and we're just going to bring them back next year around October to January again with performances around the lights to highlight them, just because the lights are sound reactive and it just looks really cool with the live music there. Also, just wanted to say we're really grateful for Harborfront Center and the work they've been doing in the past few months with the skating rink coming back, some science center exhibitions coming here soon, and with the Pier 4 building and being leased out to Queens Harbor, a fancy new restaurant that will be opening in spring 2025. And check out the new exhibits at the power plant as well. I've heard good things. That's all for our updates, but I'm here if you have any questions or any concerns about the neighborhood, and I can answer to the best of my ability.
Neil has the mic back there. Anybody have any questions about some of the wonderful stuff our PA is doing for us?
Or not so wonderful stuff.
Right there in the way.
Is the new restaurant going to be open all night long?
I'm not sure on the details on that. I don't think it'll be all night long.
It says it's for night owls
I heard
and
that. I
early
saw that, yeah.
risers.
I'm not too sure about the details, and I don't think they are at this point. They're still doing construction inside. It's really dependent on the permits they acquire.
The beginning of YQNA was shutting down the nightclub that was in that building before that was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we really don't want that problem again.
We'll keep that in mind, but we're also supportive of new businesses coming up in the area.
Sure, I know they're trying to compete with Montreal, which is open all night. And I've lived in Montreal, and my husband was a developer at that time, and there was corruption in Montreal like you can't believe. So we don't want that.
We'll keep that in mind if anything comes up. Thank you.
And what we can do too is, I believe I've seen Councilor here, but I know one of her staff members are here. Hans in the back. Oh, there's Asma. Sorry, the lighting's like in my face. First of all, I want to recognize our Deputy Mayor and City Councilor who's arrived. I know she probably made note of that concern, and her office will stay on top of that for us. Any more questions? Here?
Oh, I think Kathy can answer that when she's up here.
Our next guest speaker is going to have a lot to say about that one.
I was under the impression I'll be going after. That's what
I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. That's okay.
Anybody else for questions? Okay. Thank you, Doris. I really appreciate you showing up here and giving us an update and all the work you guys do.
So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our next speaker, and I now have the power to do that. And I know she's going to have her own presentation. She's not just the CEO of the Harborfront Center. I was going to say Science Center, but not yet, right? She's not just the CEO here. She's also a neighbor. She lives in our community, so she deeply cares about not just what happens here on this campus, but what happens in our community. And, you know, ever since she's taken on the role, she's met with us a number of times and constantly engaging with the YQNA about what's important to us as residents and how can the Harborfront Center do better. Because as I said earlier, this is our front lawn. So I've really appreciated working with Kathy over my short period as chair and her short period as CEO, but she has much longer to serve than I do. And I want to thank her for setting up open dialogue, being a good community partner, and putting forward a bold vision to rejuvenate this jewel, not just here in Toronto, but literally, Ed Hoare, if he's in the room, he always says this is the most valuable piece of property in all of Canada. If you think about where it's situated and what it does, there's no condos here, right? But I'm pretty sure the developers probably want it. But we won't let that happen because our remarkable new CEO here at the Harborfront Center is going to take us down a remarkable path to a different vision here. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. Kathy Lovelock, please come to the stage.
Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to be here and to be here as both a neighbor and a resident and also a new leader at Harborfront Center. Next week will be my third month, so I'm still in the early days of listening and learning and connecting with the community, connecting with our volunteers, connecting with Harborfront itself to see how we can continue to build on the legacy and strengths that are here and grow in new ways that will allow us to be a vibrant, connected, caring campus of arts, culture, education, and a place where we all build community and where we all feel a sense of belonging. I think one of my favorite things in my early days has been learning quickly how much Harbourfront Centre means to so many people. Everyone has a story, a first memory, and it really demonstrates that this is really our harbourfront, our harbourfront. And I look forward to stewarding it and growing it and enjoying it together. I thought I'd start by just reflecting on the fact that we just celebrated our 50th anniversary, 50 years of being a publicly accessible, safe, and beautiful campus and home to arts and culture. And as we go forward, we look forward to continuing to be that and build on our legacy in new ways. Certainly one of our most recent magic moments here, and certainly an early magic moment for me, was Nuit Blanche, and just seeing how our campus could come to life in such a special and magical way. And I thought I'd start today with just a couple of pictures that reflect all of us and the community together celebrating such an important gathering and such a special time, a time of community, a time of arts, a time of connectivity, and a time of food. Harbourfront is remarkably special. My journey here started, I'm going to date myself, but back in the late 80s, early 90s. I lived here for close to 10 years. My husband and I were first married. We lived here, and now we're having deja vu because we are back. And, you know, there's just magic in what's here. It's a very special, one-of-a-kind for Toronto, for Ontario, for Canada. But it's also everyone's waterfront. And as you said, Ryan, it's your front yard, your side yard, your backyard. It's a very important place for us to collectively steward and enjoy together. When we look at where Harbourfront is today and how we plan to build forward, we're still in the early days of continuing to build on what that will mean. And a lot of how we will build that will be in conversation and listening to each of you and what, as a community and neighborhood partners, you're looking for from us. But certainly at our base, we will be where community happens, where Canada meets. And the first job that is always so important is maintaining the integrity, the beauty, the safety, and the accessibility of our core campus. And with that beautiful 10-acre campus, for that to be home of community arts, culture, and education. And the campus is something that needs lots of love. It's 50 years old, and so we're at that delicate point where we need to continually invest infrastructure and support to make sure that it maintains and grows in all ways that are good and strengthening. And we're very grateful to our partners at the city, the province, and the federal government for providing ways for us to invest. And part of what we look forward to is a continuum of that in a steady way. There's a lot to be done and there's a lot to be strengthened, but we're dedicated collectively and committed and in very active discussions on an ongoing basis around what our campus needs and how we can address it in a timely and responsible way. Partner festivals are an important part of the magic of Harbourfront Centre, and certainly the cultural festivals that happen here over the course largely in the summer have become a real staple of how we see all of Canada here on our campus, and they'll continue to be an important part of who we are. Making sure that we are still producing and co-creating and creating signature programs is another part of how the arts come to life on our campus. And certainly Kumba, which is its 30th anniversary of Black Futures, will be a month-long extravaganza of activations and arts and culture, mental health and wellness sessions that will come to life over the course of February. Summer Music in the Garden, I'm sure many of you have experienced that firsthand, is really a continuous part of who we are and something we look forward to. It's cherishing and stewarding. And Season of Cool. We live in Canada. It's winter, it gets cold. So let's lean into it. And part of the magic we're excited about this year is really making our campus more and more year-round. So it's somewhere for all of us to enjoy on the snowy days, on the sunny days, on the cool days. And in the year ahead, we will see a lot more of that. Kumba, as I mentioned, will be a very meaningful and important expression of the arts here, especially as it celebrates its 30th anniversary. And then the campus itself will continue to see skating. We're very excited. I'll talk about that in a minute. Dancing on the Square, Free Flicks, Forest of Reading, continuing to be this beautiful community center that is brought to life by many of our residents and by all of us here. And yay, I have to give a special shout out to our wonderful Deputy Mayor Malik for championing and enabling this very special opportunity for the community. I think it's safe to say we've all missed the skating rink. We're all so grateful that it's coming back, and we're really looking forward to it being a magic part of the winter campus. Thanks to the WBIA, there will be free skate rentals on Saturdays. So everyone will really be able to enjoy the skating rink. We'll have some DJ nights, 8 to 10, not too late, but just enough for people to skate and dance and have fun on the campus with the skating rink during some of our select weekends. We also will continue to celebrate our arts and crafts and design studios. They're really part of the DNA of Harbourfront, whether it's textiles, ceramics, glass blowing. There's some wonderful exhibits that will be coming over the course of the winter, and certainly Design Toronto has got some things planned, and of course the Tourne curation that we have right now in Gallery 235 is beautiful. I hope you have a chance to have a look at it while you're here. It's a very special exhibition of ceramics. And then New Year's, again in partnership with our great friends at the city, we are anticipating fireworks and a special evening that will include the DJ skate, and we'll also this year be having a market. So there'll be a holiday market on the campus where we'll have an urban treat market, we will have food eats, we will have artisans, and it will just come alive in the winter as a twinkly, magical place that we hope you and your family and friends will all visit. And November 22nd, we'll be receiving in your mailbox and in your email our winter catalog that will share the details and the times of how we hope to bring the season to life this year. And there's a lot to look forward to. We do believe that it is the season of cool, and even though it's cold outside, we can make it warm inside with the connections, the experiences, and spending time together at Harbourfront. We'll have some interesting art exhibitions and installations. A Dream of Pastures will be a very fun way. If you can see, there's a young man driving or cycling there, and then it makes a horse go on the wall. It's just a very interactive, interesting way to bring art to life. And we'll even have a mobile sauna. So a little sauna and plunge on the lake for a special winter treat will bring forward some great recreation and engagement. It'll be by appointment, and it'll be a terrific way to get outside and get healthy and get cool and have a beautiful experience looking at our lake. We will also continue, of course, with some special dance at the Fleck Dance Theatre, and the Human Body Expression with Hannah Keel will be a very special show. Our Artists in Residence at the Studios and Craft Centers is a program that just continues to grow for us in both importance and contribution, and we'll look forward to continuing to have more and more happen in that space. And I'm sure throughout the week you see lots of young people here. The camps are a really magical part of the campus. Our number one favorite camp is the circus camp, but it's followed closely by, of course, kayaking and sailing and crafts and arts and theater. And the camps are really a place of building memories, building skill, and introducing arts and culture to our young people. And then throughout the year, we have our school visits. So over 26,000 youth go through our campus each year between these programs. And the Ontario Science Centre. So we are delighted that we were selected to be one of 2 temporary locations. The Science Centre moved here in October. They'll be opening December 4th and running through till April, I think it's the end of April. And they'll be doing the Kids Spark family exhibition for young children and their families, and it'll be just across the front of our Harborfront building. So it's a 7-month exhibition, but I think, again, it'll really make the campus alive with lots of great engagement over the course of the winter months. And it's lovely to see arts and science come together in a way that families can enjoy. And we'll have some special outdoor exhibitions and indoor exhibitions as well, where we'll integrate, as I said, arts and science in some unique ways that hopefully the kids will enjoy. And then Queen's Harbor, as you were just discussing, we're very excited about the Queen's Harbor restaurant, and we hope you will be too. I'm super excited to have a new place to dine while we're here. They are making a $10 million investment inside the restaurant to build it out to be a very special place. It opens in the spring. These are just some artist rendering which give you a sense of how they will be designing and bringing to life this great new restaurant. And I don't know their exact hours. It's not a nightclub, it is a restaurant. But what distinguishes that in terms of time is something I'll circle back to Ryan with. And I'll ask my team because I don't know the exact answer. It just gives you a sense of what they're doing there. And it's supposed to be Mediterranean is the type of food, a mix of Mediterranean and Asian. It's going to be a beautiful space. It's going to bring some wonderful jobs to the Harborfront, and it's going to bring some wonderful entertainment and food and complement to what we have here. So the spring 2025 is the opening, and of course, once we have a date, we'll be sure to let everyone know so that we can all enjoy. And I think I'll just close by saying, our vision is really one to continue to be what we've always been, a publicly accessible campus that's safe and a wonderful home to arts and culture and the community, and really just to live fully into being the heart of Toronto's waterfront. It's a privileged place that we have, and it's a place that we want to continue to nurture to the next level. We want to be good neighbors, and we will work hard at being good neighbors. We recognize the privilege of the position that we're in, and we want to continue to partner in ways that matter. The power plant and the contemporary arts that is showcased there is remarkable, and there's 2 very special exhibits going on there right now, so we look forward to them continuing to be on our campus. And the Toronto International Festival of Authors, really some great authors and some great discussions. I was very inspired when I went this year. And we look to build new strategic partnerships. The Ontario Science Centre is a great example. It contributes revenue that helps make us possible, but it's also bringing in experience and programming to the community that's really relevant and appropriate to our campus. The commercial activities continue, of course, with the marinas, with the parking garage, and with the restaurants, and we'll continue to grow and nurture that, and to be year-round. And I think I'll just close by saying how much we look forward to working together and to enjoying all that Harborfront has to offer, the waterfront. And my door is always open, so I look forward to living into my feedback-rich world and to growing and strengthening Harborfront in sync with the needs of the local community, as well as serving the broader Toronto, Ontario, and Canadians, not to mention the visitors who come here. So thank you very much, and I don't know if you want me to take questions, Ryan, or... No? Sure. Thank you very much, everyone.
We have a skating rink again. Let's give a big round of applause. I'm going to save some of that for the city councilor as well. We do have a few moments for questions. I see a hand go up before I even finish that sentence. So one there, and then you'll be next.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations on joining the team down here. You sound like you have some exciting visions for the future. I'm certainly excited as a resident down here to hear some of it. However, today I learned that, reported in the Toronto Star, that the Fleck Dance Theatre is being closed effective March 31st, 2025. I'm wondering if you can explain for us the rationale for that what possible plans there may be for replacing it, and why the decision was made without community involvement.
Sure. Happy to share. It was, as you can imagine, a very difficult decision. The Fleck Dance Theatre is a very cherished part of Harbourfront, and where we've all experienced, some magical dance performances. The decision, unfortunately, was largely driven by financials. The Fleck Dance Theatre is not on our campus. It is a space we lease, and the lease is just over $400,000 a year, in addition to the net costs of the stage, the equipment, and operating it. And while we love it, we just felt that we couldn't afford to go forward. Like every arts and cultural organization, we're looking at how to be more sustainable, how to be financially responsible to the funding we have. We also looked at, over the last 10 years, the Fleck Dance Theatre has had an average occupancy of 40%. In this past year, there's about 292 days that it's bookable, and we've had 90 days booked. So we just felt that it wasn't something that we could responsibly sustain at this time. Having said that, we also have 3 other dance theaters on our campus, and many of the dance companies that dance at Fleck also dance at the Harbourfront Centre Theatre, which is inside the power plant, and it has a sprung dance floor as well. That theatre holds 350 people, and Fleck holds 420 people. So it's comparable. The advantage of the Fleck Theatre is it's a little bit wider, so it does provide a really beautiful dance environment. In the summer season, we also have the concert stage, and then we also have the studio theatre in this building. And the last thing I would say is, because everything that's inside Fleck is ours and built, we are looking at right now if there's a way to repurpose that stage here. So whether that's in another part of our campus, that's something that we're exploring right now. I'm not sure what's possible, but our hope is that with the 3 core stages that we have, that dance will continue to be a celebrated and important part of who we are. But there's no question, it's a loss, and we wish we were in a position not to have to do that, but that was the thinking that went into the decision, and we'll work closely with the dance community to make sure that dance continues to have a home here always.
Gentlemen, just in the back of
My name's Andy Oakes. I'm a longtime resident on the waterfront.
Great.
I appreciate the positive nature of this whole event. However, sadly enough, your words like community and partner don't really resonate with me in regards to my relationship with Harbourfront.
Okay.
As much as I appreciate our counselor having to get involved with the ice rink situation, Harbourfront probably should have listened to the community on whole in regards to the fact that we lobbied to keep the rink. And Harbourfront announced on Friday that there was going to be no rink. Monday, the boards were up, and Tuesday, there were already boots on the ground demolishing the rink. Okay, so that partnership doesn't really resonate with me, and it bothers me. Also, I find that Harbourfront isn't very transparent in regards to the financial situations, because every year, no matter what grants or what is given to Harbourfront, as a community, all we hear is how your pockets are still empty. From a property point of view, all I observe is the constant and continual erosion of the infrastructure of the Harbourfront Center. From the bridge that was donated here, and the fact that it isn't, to the Marina Key West parking garage that is condemned, to the condition of the marinas themselves. Now, I am a marina resident. I spent 6 months on the island. I spent 6 months here at Pier 4. This is for everybody here, so you guys understand. Okay, we pay to be here. It costs us $8,000 to $9,000 a winter to moor our boats here. okay? We're a community. People live on boats in the winter all across Canada, North America, worldwide. Okay, we're not unique. However, as a tenant of the Harborfront for those 6 months a year, Harborfront doesn't seem to understand your responsibilities as a landlord. For example,
Sir, just
yeah,
we have a pretty long agenda, so if you could just ask the question.
I will finish. It's
I
not.
know we have a lot, but
Okay, I've stood here and listened to everything else, and this is all I came here to say.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I am rushing it. I'm not going to get 15 years of it. I'm just telling you the points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understood. I appreciate
Right.
it.
So we all receive a winter contract in September
Yes.
to move into our marina. Now you probably don't know this because you're the president, and I'm not sure what you know. Okay, but that contributes to the issue. So 2 weeks before we were supposed to move into our winter spot that we depend on and live on, all of us received an email from Harborfront to say that you would not be providing pump out services to our vessels during the winter. Okay, so that means we can use our toilets on our boat, but we have no facility to empty them. So the costs continue to go up. Okay, the site continues to degrade, and so do the services provided. We are tenants in a community, however, that isn't reflected in the way we are treated. Also, the way the community was treated when we lobbied for the rig. And so, as much as I appreciate your sentiments, it really has to come down to boots on the ground. That you guys have to be transparent, you have to be a partner, and you have to be interested in what the people of the community have to say.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, your lived experience, your truth, and where we have disappointed, and let you down within that space. And I'd say a couple things. Certainly the community skating rink was a loss and disappointment, and I'm so grateful that we have, with the city, been able to bring that back. And I hope it will build a new future and begin to heal what has been lost in those times that we didn't have it. So I absolutely hear you. I think for the marina, we're in discussion with the city about the marinas, trying to figure out how we manage pumping water in, pumping waste out, and how that works. There are some challenges with the system that is broken, and there's some temporary work that we've done, but there is a permanent solution that needs to be addressed, and that's under discussion. So I can absolutely appreciate the concerns. And we operate on a 99-year land lease with the city. And, the city is a great partner to us, and part of what we're working forward with the city is how do we address these challenges. And as you said, the Amsterdam Bridge as well, that was a gift from the city of Amsterdam to the city of Toronto. The city of Toronto gifted a bridge back, and apparently it's working well and in great working order. But our bridge needs some tender love and care, and that is something that we're talking about. And I appreciate it's been broken since 1921 or 2021, and it feels like 1921, but 2021. And we are having some very active discussions about what might be possible to move that forward. But I think what I take away most from what you said is the importance of the marina community, independent of itself, and how we are being good or not stewards and landlords to that community. So I'll take it away to our leadership team and have some more discussions. And as you said, I'm still learning and I'm still new, and I took in everything that you shared, and I appreciate what you shared. So we'll do some homework and we'll circle back. They're important issues what you've raised. Are we good? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate the time.
I can personally attest. Kathy's done so much in 3 months. Imagine what she's going to do in 3 years. So, like she said, and as you saw here, she has the spirit of listening to the community, taking feedback to the community. She's done that with us at YQNA. I know she's taking notes from what she's heard this evening. And as she mentioned, the Harborfront Center is open for feedback. They want to hear from the community. Use YQNA as a vessel to help facilitate that. Is everybody still excited? Are we having a good meeting? Yeah, okay. It's going to get even more excited because we have a number of politicians coming up. So talking about advocacy, I am going to invite up our member of Provincial Parliament, Chris Glover, the man who voices our concerns at Queen's Park, advocates on issues important to us. He's going to give a brief update and he'll take a couple of questions from the audience. So please welcome our member of Provincial Parliament, Chris Glover.
So first of all, I want to thank Ryan for hosting tonight, but also for your service over the last, it's been a short but really impactful tenure that you've had here as chair of the YQNA. So many things, and I think for me one of the most important things is the healing of the relationship with Harbourfront here. And kudos to Deputy Mayor Malik for bringing back this gaming week. Can we give Ryan and Osmo and everybody, and here Kathy at Harbourfront for a big round of applause for healing this relationship and getting the community involved, because when Kathy was up speaking, she was talking about bringing us together in community building, and that's really what the YQNA is about. I know the YQNA played a major role in the development and still continues to play a major role in the development of the waterfront, which is spreading out across. And it's when communities get involved that we end up with really, really wonderful places like the waterfront as it is now, and as it's growing, especially to the east. And I think there's a lesson in that too, and I've been thinking, I'm sure many of you have been thinking a lot about the election in the United States this week. And yes, okay, and what it means, and how do we push back? And I think that what concerns me is that the forces that try to divide us are seizing power, and we need to push back, and we need to push back through agencies and organizations like the YQNA, like Harbourfront. We need to push back through our local governments. I don't know what's going on back there. I think they're going to pull the curtain on me. Anyways, let me talk about just a few things. One is it's wonderful that the Science Center, there's going to be an exhibit here for the Science Center. It's a bit bittersweet. I wish it was not coming at the cost of losing our iconic Science Center up in Don Mills. And that speaks to this kind of division, and I really want to know it sounds like a creaky door from a haunted house or something. It's a door, okay. I guessed right, yeah, I don't know if it's haunted though. Anyways, and then Ontario Place. It's just such a heartbreak to see those trees come down. And I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but the Liberty Village Residents Association, they're now talking about coyote sightings. And they used to have a coyote sighting, once a couple months, they'd see it once in a while. Now there's a couple of a week. And they think, and I was talking to David, who's an environmental scientist at the back here, and part of the YQNA, I said, so if there had been an environmental assessment at Ontario Place, would they have identified wildlife and said, hey, we need to relocate this wildlife before we cut down 850 trees and this habitat? And he said, yeah, that would be like a fundamental principle of an environmental assessment. And it really speaks to, the folly of moving ahead without going through processes and without consulting with the community. And we are continuing to fight back at Ontario Place. We've seen the lease, and I don't know how much you've heard about the lease, but it is the worst lease written by anybody that I've ever heard of. The former government that sold the 407 for $3 billion, I think and now they're trying to buy it back for $35 billion. I think they were better negotiators than the ones who wrote the lease here at Ontario Place. One of the clauses in the lease is that Therma can sell their lease to anyone they want with 2 months' notice, and the government can't object. I know, and anybody it just makes no sense, and I've talked to people who actually negotiate commercial leases, and they have never, ever, ever heard of something like that in there. It's just absolutely appalling. There's many more things in there, so we are continuing to fight back. We've got the Auditor General's report hopefully coming out in December, and they will be exposing just what a folly this whole thing is. And we've also got a court case around Bill 154, which exempted government agents of any acts of misfeasance, which means abuse of government power, in the negotiation of the Ontario Place deal. And that is being challenged by Ontario Place protectors. And they're saying that this is, their argument is that this is a violation of our charter rights, that nobody should be above the law. If you break the law, then you have to be held accountable by the courts. And the government, the provincial government can't exempt you from that. So this is how big this is getting, but we are continuing to fight back on Ontario Place. Oh, the other issue I wanted to talk about was homelessness. You know, the officers tonight were talking about homelessness and this crisis that we're facing. There are now 234,000 people homeless in the province. There are 1,400 encampments across the province. It is an absolute catastrophe. And it's a humanitarian disaster for the people in the encampments, and it's also a disaster for the people around the encampments. Because nobody should be living in a public park or in a tent on a street or on a street. You know, we especially with a country and a jurisdiction as wealthy as ours, there's absolutely no excuse for this. So we have brought forward a motion in the legislature to build housing, to build supportive housing, to build social housing, to build cooperative housing. We need nonprofit housing because right now, almost everything that's being built is for-profit housing. And not everybody can afford a for-profit condo, not everybody can afford a for-profit house. They never have been. We've got to get the government back into the business of building housing. And I will say to the city of Toronto, kudos to them. Olivia Chow and Osmo and the team at the city have broken ground on more than 2,000 units of affordable housing in the first year in office, in Olivia's first year in office. And that includes a 900-unit co-op out at Kennedy and Eglinton. It includes affordable housing. Actually, I don't want to steal Osmo's thunder. But anyways, they're showing that it can be done. We know how to solve homelessness. We just have to get back into the business of building housing. And that's what we're pushing for at the Ontario legislature. The other thing that's coming up, I'm the tech and innovation critic for the NDP. And there's Bill 194 is before the House right now. It's an artificial intelligence and cybersecurity bill for the public sector agencies. And if you're interested in this, if you're interested in hearing what people are saying about the bill, the committee meetings are happening Thursday and Friday this week, and you can tune in on the legislative channel and watch the committee hearings if you're interested in that. Let's see, final couple notes. Nancy and Benna from my office are at the back there at the table. They do incredible work. If you don't get my updates, my email updates yet, I recommend that you sign up. There is no local newspaper here in this area, so we try to be the local newspaper. So it's got community news, it's got political news, it's got a list of fun activities, including some of the ones here at Harbourfront. And we've also got an environmental columnist once in a while, and we've got a historical columnist once in a while. So we try to be, the community information post. If you haven't signed up, you can sign up at the back. And also, we've got at the back Foodland Ontario calendars, and they have recipes, and they're encouraging you to shop local, to buy Ontario-grown food. And among the recipes are asparagus, bacon, and cheddar pancakes, which sounds kind of interesting. But the one I really want to try is Caribbean-style turkey and potato curry. Especially now that we're going to be cooking turkey, so what do you do with the leftover turkey? I think some curry might be in order. So a couple of events coming up. We have an annual holiday event. It's at City Place in the Eventway Studio. It's Saturday, December 7th. We've got the Toronto Symphony Orchestra youth orchestra there. We've got Bishop McDonnell, the school, their choir. We've got a musician named Evan Daly, and then the new choir will be coming, and they'll be leading us all in the singing of Christmas carols. So I hope you can make it up to that. And then on January 7th, we've got a Skate with Chris event. So, the holidays are coming up. There's some nice, fun things coming up. Lots here happening at Harbourfront, but also some things in the community. I hope you can join us.
Glover will take a couple of questions. Sorry, Neil, you came this way, and the first hand that went up was over there. And please, if you don't mind, just in the interest of time.
I consider myself a very compassionate citizen, and I understand what you're saying about building affordable housing. I think everyone in this room is in favor of that. But what's happening now, and we should have talked about this when the police were here, is that we're being followed from different areas on the waterfront. They're following, whether it be male or female or they. It's becoming an unsafe place. There's also an area by Billy Bishop Airport where there's tents and people are walking their dogs and being hassled. We're talking being thrown feces, I heard the other day. Like they're throwing things at people. I'm not going to get into the specifics. There's homeless people hanging out in the Tim Hortons. The poor Tim Hortons staff just doesn't even know how to handle it. So I think that there needs to be more awareness of what's happening just for the safety of the residents.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You know, what's happening in the community and around the encampments is awful, and it shouldn't be happening. You know, and we had a meeting at Bathurst Quay last week, and the residents were justifiably upset because exactly what you're reporting is happening in every part of the riding. It's happening across the city. It's happening across the province. We've got people. 40% of the people who are homeless have mental illness. 25% were in foster care when they were children. So we have, you know, this is a failure of the government, and we know how to solve it. We need to build housing, but in the immediate term, we cannot tolerate, you know, people committing crimes. We cannot. Harassment is a crime. Theft is a crime, and they should be punished for that. And if somebody has an addiction and they're committing theft for their addiction, one of the things that we're pushing for is that there be a diversion. So you're convicted of committing theft, then you can either go to, and you have an addiction, you either go to treatment or you go to jail. But you have the choice, and that way we can get, you know, people into treatment. I would say the reason that people are homeless, if there were, you know, 1,000 people homeless in Ontario, I'd say, wow, 1,000 people made really bad decisions. When there's 234,000, it's the government that's made bad decisions. And yes, right. And so, yeah, okay. So at the provincial level, I'm not. It's what you're talking about. I think is a police response. I'm not in charge of the Toronto Police. Like it's not my jurisdiction because I'm at the provincial level. But I hear what you're saying, and we do need to make our community safe, and we need to do that in the immediate term, and then we need to work on both, you know, midterm, like housing for people, and whether that's hotels or whatever it is, at all three levels of government need to, you know, get their emergency housing, and then we need to have a long-term strategy where we're actually building permanent supportive housing for people with mental illness and addictions or disabilities, and we're also building social housing for people who just can't afford market rent.
I'm going to give you this. This has the email address for 52 Division, and I have Constable Bates, who was here earlier. I have his business card with his direct email address. He said that's okay for me to give out. It's important that 52 Division, it's a very large area that they do cover, and you heard about, you know, the issues with resources, but when they hear, and I was the community liaison for YQNA, they said they need to know this stuff, right? So they can't respond or they can't address something unless they hear it. So I'm going to give you those resources, and please email them, and they'll do their best, I know, to respond to it.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Glover? Thank you so much. It's a pleasure working with you. Thank you.
I'll tell you, when I came to the YQNA chair, I got a phone call and it said Chris Glover, and I was like, I have to pick it up. But I was in France, and Chris is like, can I take you out for coffee? And I'm like, actually, I'm having a croissant at a cafe right now, but when I'm back, you can treat me and try and beat that. But thank you, Chris, for your service, and thanks for engaging with the YQNA. On the note of engaging, when I did become the chair, we got a request from our councillor's office, and to do a meeting. They wanted to meet with the YQNA, hear what's going on, hear issues, and we sat down at the meeting, and I jumped into it. I was like, we want to talk about RISA, we want to talk about this, that. And Councillor Asma Malik said, hold on a second. I want to hear a little bit more about you, right? And that's just the type of person that she is. She wants to engage with the community. She wants to learn about individuals that she's working with and serving. And I really appreciated the opportunity meeting with her and not just letting her know more about myself, but letting her know about what's happening here and how she can serve us better. So with that, our city councilor, the deputy mayor of Toronto, and the person who was really responsible for bringing back the ice rink here at the Harbourfront Centre, Councillor Asma Malik.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? How's everyone hanging in there? You have been real champions of our work here together. Do we need a moment just to stretch? Stand up if you need to. For folks who have been very patiently standing in the back and at the sides, there are some empty seats. If you have an empty seat next to you, raise a hand and maybe let a neighbor take a seat. Max, Massimo, Isabel, if you want to take a seat, there are some up here, so please go ahead and do that. And thank you very much, Ryan, for the introduction, for taking us through the meeting so expertly. Can we give Ryan a big round of applause? It is not easy to make sure that we keep moving and that all of our questions and concerns are being respected and answered. And as Ryan mentioned, it's been so important to me since the very start of my term to be working collaboratively with the YQNA Neighborhood Association. And this is also not my first time working with the Neighborhood Association here. It's hard to believe, but 10 years ago, I was elected for the first time as the Toronto District School Board trustee for our downtown communities, and that included the area here near our waterfront, and to work collectively and collaboratively, because we know that especially in our downtown communities, that it's never just about one thing, it's about how we are working together on those shared priorities. And the YQNA's leadership, the consistency of it, how important the commitment to residents, to members, to your voices in the community priorities that are being brought forward at every level, and including with waterfront stakeholders, is so important, and just huge credit and respect for that work over time. And it's really wonderful, again, to be invited here as part of your annual general meeting, to be able to talk about what has been accomplished together over the last year and what is on our minds. And I have been taking notes about your questions, as has my team, to make sure that we are able to follow up. And I absolutely understand so many of the priorities and concerns that you have raised are ones that I share. And, in taking my lead from the YQNA Neighborhood Association, I know that there was a real desire to hear some more updates on our public amenities, on our green spaces, addressing transportation and traffic planning in the neighborhood, and also some updates around the island airport, some of which I know we have shared in the past, and to be able to highlight that again for everyone here. And can we just give a round of applause to all of you for being here in person? How special is that? Thank you. I know over the last several years, especially coming through the pandemic, there have been times when, I think we all wondered whether we would be able to gather together like this in person, and to have that experience to meet each other, know each other, to reconnect and connect with new neighbors as well. And I'm so glad that we're able to do that, and just really grateful to the Harbourfront Centre and this new leadership and a renewed relationship with the community for this meeting to be hosted here, and for that openness and willingness to share this space. So one of the really big things, and we have heard it here, building on Kathy's update, what Ryan has shared, and what many of you have heard, I was really thrilled that we are bringing back skating at the Harbourfront Centre. And to echo what we heard here tonight, and what I know me and my office have been engaged with many of you over the past many months and over the past year, is that, we have to acknowledge that, and I appreciate Kathy sharing this as well, that the initial decision of skating to be unilaterally removed from the Harbourfront Centre site was absolutely unacceptable. And the way that was done without notice and without communication was not okay. That's an understatement. And that as we move forward, and especially, like I said, with the renewed leadership, that we are making sure that confidence, that engagement, and the transparency is a high priority. And to be able to do that with this closing the gap on bringing seasonal skating back to Harborfront Center is really important. Like Kathy mentioned, and like conversations I've had with so many of you, the Central Waterfront is such an important place. It's home, and it also holds so many incredible memories. For me, my parents immigrated to Canada more than 50 years ago, 52 years ago to be exact, and they made Toronto their first home together and loved the Harborfront Centre, what it brought to them, and you know, the cherished memories that I had coming here, spending time in the artist studios, and of course skating. And for me, my little niece, her first time skating was with me here at the Harborfront Centre, and that's the excitement that we want to be able to bring. You know, a whole generation of new memories. And also, we always talk about our waterfront being a place for Four Seasons activities, right? 365 days a year. And we know how important and critical and beautiful skating is in order to invite people to our waterfront and to be able to be here active and express their love for it. And I do want to give a big thanks to the Waterfront BIA for sharing the initiatives and being such an amazing champion and partner with residents on the waterfront for that 365-day-a-year activation, and to make sure that we are celebrating everything that's happening on our waterfront and appreciating that it is home for so many of us. And thank you for your incredible community advocacy that has been able to bring us here. And just in terms of that relationship with the Harborfront Center, it is, and we've heard it here again, and I know it's echoed in so many the engagements that we have had, is that it is such a critical cultural institution on our waterfront. It is a jewel, it is a gem, all the different things that we have mentioned about how precious it is. And since the start of my term, I have been focused on two key areas of priority when it comes to Harborfront Center. And first, that has been the relationship between Harborfront Center and the community. And we know that the transformation in leadership has allowed us to open up that space and those doors even more. But even before that, working with the YQNA and other partners in the neighborhood to have a reliable place for that engagement to happen, and now to have renewed conversations around a community liaison committee to that effect is really wonderful. And I was really happy to see that the YQNA putting that leadership forward about a formalized committee or role for that liaison. That's really an important piece of this for me. And, you know, for the second big priority with Harborfront Center was making sure that we were strengthening the relationship between Harborfront Center and the city. And I know that a number of issues were raised just about, you know, the viability, the future, the collaboration, and the financial footing that Harborfront Center is on. And one of the most important things that we have is a regular scheduled engagement with the Harborfront Center about our shared priorities and reviewing ways the city can support, and a working group to address the many different ways that the city interacts with a Harborfront Center, including the Amsterdam Bridge. And I have heard from many of you what the concern has been around that. And for me, my priority has been, first of all, what will it take to repair the Amsterdam Bridge so that it is usable, and that we have a maintenance agreement in place so that that never happens again. And that is the work that I'm excited that we are continuing to engage Harborfront Center on. And again, for us to be stepping up as partners in order to be able to do that. And I do have to give credit to Kathy stepping in this summer in her leadership in a very short time, you know, prioritizing engagement with the community, working closely with the city about what her plan to, you know, get the Harborfront Center on a better footing looks like. And we saw some of the efforts of that work. And we also know that coming through this and with all the challenges that the center faces, that there will be some very challenging decisions. And again, how do we support some of those efforts to ensure that we are able to enjoy this incredible space, and that is a place for community, and it's a place that we can have on our waterfront for a long time to come. For all of us, again, who call the waterfront home, but also for, you know, Torontonians from every corner of the city, as well as people from across the province and the country as well. So our waterfront, as you will know very well, is a very busy place, and one of the priorities and big issues has been around the runway and safety areas. And I know this is something that I've spoken with the YQNA members about before, and it won't be a surprise to you that there has been a very firm deadline set for the Island Airport to comply with a federal regulation, the runway and safety area requirement, and that deadline is July 12th, 2027.
And I've stayed focused on safety at the island airport and making sure that we are enabling that requirement to be met. And through work at City Council, the city has authorized staff to move forward on the option that implements the essential work needed for safety in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible. And while there are many pressures in the council debate around what that looked like, and ensuring, and for me, my priority has always been that the future of the island airport is determined through a democratic and transparent process. And that means ensuring that that is something that you can rely on as we move forward. And even though there had been intense pressure to kind of choose an option that didn't allow for that engagement to happen with the dedicated kind of process and transparency that you require and you deserve, we were able to provide the flexibility to extend the airport's current time frame by up to 12 years. With the demonstration that this was required in order to meet the extension requirement. And that also ensures that we allow for a process to be set out that is, again, transparent and open and prioritizes community engagement about the future of the airport. And that has always been important to me, and that has been also based on the 12-year extension to the agreement, is based on some very clear information that we have at the city around what it has taken to complete and implement some key infrastructure projects on the island. The one that you'll be familiar with is the pedestrian tunnel. That was a 20-year amortization in order to fulfill that project, and based on that, council was able to provide this extension, which allowed for the safety requirement to be met in the firm deadline and time frame that has been set, and also allows us to look at the future of the airport in a way that I know we all deserve. There is going to be a master planning process that Port Toronto is bringing forward, and looking forward to be able to share with you what some of those next steps are. I have a couple of updates, so I hope you'll be patient with me. This is about some of our shared priorities around green space and public space in the neighborhood. The Reese Park site is one that I know we've had our eye on in the neighborhood, and there has been some changes, some steps back and forward, and we're firmly moving forward with that. Waterfront Toronto is carefully reviewing the feedback that was received from the advisory committee, including representatives of the YQNA regarding programming and goals for the Reese Street Park site. And what has been really clear from that feedback is the desire to have that space be active, right? And we know what that means when you are on the north side of Queens Quay and the south side. And that is really important in reflecting what is in the RFP for a new design team. And once a designer has been retained for the park, the public will have an opportunity for further feedback around that, and we'll be able to share that back with you. Many of you were part of the opening of the Bathurst Common park and that public space, which is so amazing, and it's been a project that you've been giving leadership to for quite a while with the Bathurst Key Neighborhood Association. And that's going to be a site for OCAD use. It's going to be a site for community activation, as well as the partnership with the Canada-Ireland Foundation for the Corlick building to continue to complement everything that we're doing along the central waterfront to support arts and culture and innovation. And I hear very clearly the challenges that we have in our public and green spaces, especially the ones that are so precious to us in the downtown. And I will speak very frankly about Little Norway Park. And we had a meeting last week where, folks were able to express in person what has been shared with me through conversations and emails and phone calls about the encampment there. And the commitment from that meeting, and that we are moving forward on, is to have enhanced focus, where we're implementing at the city side an enhanced service protocol to make sure that there's presence on the site, that we are bringing the services and the supports to bear, that folks are being connected to housing plans, because we know that encampments are not the answer to the housing crisis. Housing is. and to make sure that, and I have said this before and I will say it again, where there is dangerous, intimidating, violent, and illegal behavior, that is being addressed in the way that it should. And I have to really credit 52 Division and 14 Division in this ward and the neighborhood community officers who are alongside in that work. And we also heard that at the meeting last week, is that we have to work together and work with them and to be able to ensure that they are able to do what they are uniquely positioned to do, which is to address those sorts of behaviors wherever they're happening in our ward. And that was a really important commitment for me, is that we are working Toronto Shelter Support Services, municipal licensing and standards, our partners as neighborhood community officers, and the Toronto Police Service, and that we also have the important neighborhood supports and services for the folks who need it. And at that meeting, we also had Homes First, the shelter operators there, stepping up with their community safety teams, with contact information. We had a comprehensive sheet that I'm happy for us to share, which was about how do you make the right call, how do we make sure that we are being both proactive in our communications about what community members, residents, and visitors can expect, but also if you are seeing anything, to make sure that you can call the right number and get that response. There was contact information there for Homes First themselves. We have a Toronto Community Crisis Response, our 4th emergency service, which is specifically there to address people who are in crisis. We know that often, people might be behaving erratically in our public spaces. I've had that experience on TTC or in the neighborhood, and we need to make sure that folks are able to get the appropriate support. Sometimes that's Toronto Community Crisis Response, the 211 showing up themselves. Sometimes it's coming alongside police to make sure that those issues are addressed, but to ensure that we are sharing with you how to make the best and the right call, and that while we address the long-term solutions that, and even the medium and short-term solutions that MPP Glover laid out so clearly, and that's a commitment that we have at the City of Toronto. We have committed to 65,000 new affordable housing units, 2,000 that are coming online, and some of them are right in our ward on Dundas Street West. Alongside that, making sure that we are obtaining affordable rental housing that already exists right now, and making sure that it is affordable forever, and that we are supporting folks who are on the edge when it comes to rent evictions or meeting their rent through rent banks and other supports. We have to be able to do that, and we have to be able to address the issues that are happening right in our neighborhood. And that this is some of the most challenging work that we will have to do together. And my commitment is that we do work together and that we're able to share with you those efforts and how they're being deployed, with always the resources that do have to be spread out right across the ward. And I will share with you, I wish there was a magic wand for the crisis that we are seeing right now. It has been a result of many different policy choices over many years from many different levels of government, and it's here right now. And as a city, we're taking on our responsibility and asking the provincial and federal governments to step up to theirs, and in our local communities, using whatever tools and levers that we have to apply that. My team is here. Tom and Sarah from my team are here. Please stay connected with us around these issues that we're seeing in the neighborhood, and also to stay updated on the progress that we're making. I will just say a final thing just about some of the work that we have been doing together, which is so important. Thank you to the YQNA for the advocacy about the Waterfront East LRT. We are moving forward at the city level to 60% design and continue to advocate for us to confirm the funding and the commitment from every level to realize that. There is some 509 streetcar construction and service updates, and we have that at the back as well. And I know a hot topic has been the Taylor Swift preparation, and it has been very important for me. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but it's very important that when we have an event of this scale, that there is coordination across city divisions, and that especially those of us who call the downtown home, and we are in the radius of the venue, have all the information that we need to be well prepared, and to also be able to enjoy a big event like this, right? We want to make sure that we can still get home, that we can still get around the city,
And for me, that has been a huge priority, and I've been hosting a working group of city divisions to ensure that we have been well prepared and that communication is going out. And just this weekend, we had a fun event at Canoe Landing Rec Center for us to kind of catch the excitement of the concerts, whether we had tickets or not, and also most of all to make sure that we had the information around road closures and how to get around. You know, a transit first approach in getting to the concerts and getting around the city. There's enhanced service from the TTC, enhanced service from bike share, as well as discounted passes. And we shared, and I have more of these at the back, but there's a map here with all the road closures for folks to be to have on hand when it comes to the preparations that the city is making over the next 2 weeks as these concerts land. And at the back, we also have information about some initiatives that allow us to also engage and shine a spotlight on Toronto's artists and culture makers. Some of you may know that Taylor Swift's latest album was the Torture Poets Department, and working with city staff, we hacked that a bit, and it's the Toronto Poets Department, and there's going to be activations on our ceremonially named Taylor Swift Way, including at David Pico Square and Campbell House, and also Nathan Phillips Square, to make sure that we are using the excitement and the opportunity that these concerts bring to shine a spotlight on our own talent, to make sure that our local businesses and communities are able to maximize the benefit, and that also we are learning even more about our capacity and strengthening our capability to host big events like this, whether it's preparing for things like FIFA in 2026 or in being even more prepared for things like New Year's and the major events that we look forward to every single year. I know I have taken quite a bit of time, and hopefully it's been useful. I'm here to answer questions if we have an opportunity for that. Otherwise, just thank you all so much.
So we are a bit tight on time. I'll allow questions if it's absolutely urgent. I see one hand. We'll take one question. Brief question, please. Brief response. Thank you.
This has to do with the airport in Mesa.
Yeah.
I am confused. There was an article in my Kunda News for this month saying that Toronto has been emasculated, that City Council, came up with what they said they were going to do, but that Ports Toronto completely ignored the decision by City Council and appear to be receding with the most expensive races with Lakeville and construction. So I'm not sure what is going on. I've been trying to follow it in the papers, and I didn't see this mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you don't mind just sharing the article with us as well, because I'd like to understand what that perspective is also. So, I'll be very brief, but the tripartite agreement that governs the airport has 3 signatories: the federal government, the City of Toronto, and Ports Toronto. And to fulfill this safety requirement, it requires an opening of one part of that agreement around Lakeville, right? So in order to make the runway safe, it's the end safety area, it's not an extension. It requires all 3 parties to agree to that, and it requires this change to the tripartite agreement. And the City of Toronto has been very ready and willing to ensure that we fulfill the safety requirement and how to do that. And Ports Toronto had requested a much grander option that might put the deadline that Transport Canada has put forward into jeopardy. And what the staff had come back with and what council had determined was that the option that allowed us to fulfill the safety obligation in the time frame that was set out and in a cost that was as efficient as possible is the option that the city has approved in moving forward, right? And that is what we have put forward, and Ports Toronto is now their option to proceed with that, and we're looking for, and they gave the city a deadline by the end of November to come back with what we would approve in terms of the fulfillment of the runway and safety area. So that's where we stand right now. Any other additional information about Ports Toronto's
perspective on this. I'd be interested to read the article and kind of understand where that's coming from in terms of the decision that the city has made. It is to ensure that there is an option that's laid out that allows that safety obligation to be fulfilled. And one of the things that we heard was that Ports Toronto needed a little bit more time in order to obtain the funds to fulfill the safety requirement. And that's where the 12-year extension came in. That was one of the requests around an extension. And so to extend it 12 years, that aligned with a 20-year amortization potentially for the cost that it would take to fulfill only if they don't have the money. So yeah, there's definitely conditions to be able to demonstrate that this extension is required. But all of that in terms of the city's position is pretty straightforward, and I'm happy for us to share those details laid out in a way that is clear. Hopefully in my description of it tried to be as clear as possible as well. And again, interested to see that article and kind of where some of the other perspectives are coming from on this, but that's where we landed in terms of the city council decision that came at our last meeting.
Okay, the city council has said racial line, is that correct?
That's
12 years extension.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to show you this because to me it sounds like they're going ahead with race of 3 no matter what anybody says.
Yeah, please do share that with us, and I really appreciate it. And again, thank you for your collective care and advocacy for this neighborhood. I'm looking forward to our work together. Thank you.
So thank you, Deputy Mayor and City Councilor Asma Malik, for your presentation and taking one question. I do want to just give a shout out again to the Deputy Mayor, MVP Glover, for being part of tonight's, we're not done, guys. There's still one more thing left on the agenda. Don't leave yet. But I want to thank them for doing that. I also want to give a quick shout out to some of the folks in the back of the room. I'm a former political staffer, so I can appreciate Bina and Nancy from MPP Chris Glover's office, Tom there from Asma Malik's office, and Christian there from MP Vong's office. They're here to help share some of the information and also receive information from you. Please go and say hi to them, get some of that important information. Want to give a shout out to our friends here at the Guernsey Center who are here to also hand out very, very important information. They were guests at our last online meeting. I invited them here to meet and share some of that with you in person. I see Ed is ready to take on his role. So if you didn't like my voice tonight, don't worry, you don't ever have to hear it again. I'm not staying on as YQNA chair. I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with the community and serving the community. It's been a very great experience seeing things from a different side. If you see me in the community, say hi, wave. I'm a friendly face. And I wish YQNA the best. Hope that it can grow and mature and continue to represent the dynamic and diverse voices of our community. With that, I'm going to introduce Ed Hoare, who is the current chair of Waterfront for All, a former chair of YQNA, and you're a founding member of YQNA as well? Okay, he wasn't a founding chair, but he was a chair. Ed's going to moderate and take over for the AGM portion. I'm just going to flip the slide. So, Ed, the floor is yours.
Anyway, I'm just going to keep you for a minute, folks. There are just a couple formalities. This is an annual general meeting, and we just have a couple of things to go through. One is we'd like to thank Interim Chair Ryan Singh for his great work for the last few months. It's been fantastic. Thank you very much. He's responsible for setting up this meeting, a live meeting. In my day, we used to have live meetings, but that was before COVID, back in the dark ages. And we never had them in here. In Harbourfront, we always had them in the hotel. So it's kind of nice to be here, and thanks to Harbourfront for having us here. So thanks very much, Ryan. This is the time to volunteer for YQNA. Angelo Bertolis, many of you will know, was the chair for a long time. His recommendation is that there be 2 co-chairs. That's the way it was in my day. and that they take turns chairing. We used to do it together, but anyway, there are a number of roles here. It's a good way to find out about the community. If you're interested in volunteering, please do it. You can talk to me or Ryan or Ula is sitting there. Put your hand up, Ula. Ula is the heart and soul of YQNA. The rest of us are just sort of storefront. We're just here for appearances. Really, Ula is the guiding genius behind the whole thing. So we have. If I think it would be fair to say if you want to volunteer, please say so right now and talk to Ula or me right now, or call later. Contact us through the website, something like that. We have 9 other YQNA positions. Most of them are happily filled by people who will continue. We've got our treasurer, Carolyn Johnson, who I think I just saw somewhere. Where'd she go? Is she here? I don't know. Chief Technical Officer is Neil Coldgrass has been running around with the, there he is, with the microphone. He is a stalwart and a wonderful technician. Secretary, the post is open. I think that involves maybe taking minutes and taking care of a few details. If somebody wanted to step forward to do that, that would be absolutely wonderful. Billy Bishop, Airport Liaison Committee. We've got Hal Beck has been on it for years. I go to the meetings sometimes if you're interested in the airport issues. We had a great question about it just now. It's a very convoluted thing. Then that's one way to really kind of get on top of what's going on. Toronto Police Liaison Committee. If anybody's willing to volunteer for that, that'd be great. There are meetings once a month, or every 2 months, I'm not sure. You go and you find out what the police are up to and what the concerns are. So if anybody's interested, that's great. Hello, you're interested. Excellent. You did before.
I did it for 5 years.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. FOSTRA delegate. Liz McGorty is our current person, and she would like an alternate, I think. Right? There's Liz right there. Right, Liz lives in my building. So I know Liz. So if you're willing to help out Liz, FOSTRA is the Federation of South Toronto Resident Associations. So you're sort of meeting with people from other residents associations across the city. Very good way to sort of find out what the grassroots across the city are saying. Social media editor is currently Leah Lambert. Thank you, Leah, if you're here. Planning committee chair is the aforementioned Ula Colegrass. She is, of course, irreplaceable. The committee members are Neil Colegrass, Rosemary Fleming, me, Leah Lambert, and Liz McGorty. We had David Lewis, who was an expert on environmental assessments, which was great, and he's unfortunately just stepped down. But if you have any kind of expertise with that kind of thing, that'd be just fantastic. Or if you just have curiosity about the neighborhood and what's going on, then the planning committee is a wonderful way to do that. So thanks very much for coming, and we'll talk soon. The next meeting is going to be on Zoom, and it is scheduled for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. So we'll see you there. Thanks very much.